What if Jeff Bezos bought the Superman franchise? Sounds wild, right? But pause for a second. Think about it. He already owns Bond. He launched himself into space. And the man does resemble Lex Luthor just a little too well. For a moment, it almost makes sense. Now, no, he hasn't bought Superman. But with the kind of wealth Bezos has, nearly $200 billion at his peak, money doesn't just talk. It directs. It casts. It rewrites. In this video, we'll explore how Amazon's 2022 MGM deal cracked open Hollywood's vault, how Bezos went from CEO to cinematic power player, what fans really think about the Lex Luthor comparisons, and how the upcoming 2025 Superman reboot could become the ultimate stage for a billionaire with a legacy to build. And yes, we'll even touch on that $50 million wedding in Venice, because image, just like story, is everything. So buckle up, because once you start seeing the pieces come together, you might just start asking, what if this isn't fiction at all? Number 1. Bezos buys MGM, the first domino falls. Here's a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller. It's March 17th, 2022. Amazon finishes the largest studio acquisition of the decade, dropping a jaw-dropping $8.45 billion to absorb MGM, the historic home of 4,000 films and 17,000 TV episodes, including James Bond, Rocky, The Pink Panther, and The Handmaid's Tale. That moment didn't just shake the streaming landscape. It sounded the opening bell of a brand new content arms race. Amazon shot up as a Hollywood heavyweight, not merely a facilitator of films, but their outright owner. Suddenly, a guy who once sold books online was deciding what stories got made, and who got to star in them. But why MGM? Analysts noted the price seemed steep. Some thought it worth around $6 billion. But Amazon had a bigger vision. Own legacy IP, fortify Prime Video, and challenge Disney and Netflix on their own turf. It was a power play, a statement. Now here's where it gets interesting. Amazon didn't just buy MGM. They inherited a creative goldmine of intellectual property. Take James Bond, for example. Bond wasn't just another franchise, it was Hollywood royalty. And within 3 years, Amazon MGM struck a new deal, granting itself creative control, effectively telling producers, "We're calling the shots now." Bezos, reportedly irked by a producer's insult, pushed hard, even saying, "Get rid of her, whatever it costs." Stateside and abroad, Hollywood paused. Was a new era dawning, with Silicon Valley billionaires as the directors behind blockbuster epics? Amazon had Bond. It had prime content, and now a precedent. And here's the open loop. If Bezos could push his way into Bond's bedroom, what's stopping him from moseying into the fortress of solitude? Could Superman, the man who symbolized justice, hope, and alien destiny, be next in the billionaire's crosshairs? Let that sink in. In this section, you've seen how Bezos' maneuver bought him not just entertainment IP, but control. That's the first domino. And as we move forward, buckle up, because the framework is set for a possible Superman takeover. If only someone whispers the right amount of zeros. But the real intrigue is still hidden. Stick around. As we peel back the layers, you'll see this isn't just business. It's narrative power, billionaire ambition, and maybe a billionaire's dream too far. Number 2, Lex Luthor lookalike or something more. Picture this. A billionaire in a suit steps onto a stage, not for business, but for villain cosplay. We're talking about Jeff Bezos. Sure, he's flown himself to space, but to fans, his bald head, serious gaze, and Amazon-sized empire scream one name: Lex Luthor. Not the guy from Washington, the fictional supervillain who wants to control Superman's destiny. The comparisons aren't just in your head. Across Reddit and meme culture, Bezos has been crowned the real-world Lex Luthor. On our /Superman, one user quipped, "I feel like Jeff Bezos is a real-life version of Lex Luthor." And another added, "He genuinely wants to be Lex Luthor." That second one hit harder than a kryptonite blast. Fans aren't just joking. They're pointing to something deeper. Let's break it down. In one corner, Lex Luthor, genius, ruthless, singular in his ambition, always out to prove he's the smartest man on the planet. Superman be damned. In the other corner, Bezos, world-changing ideas, online retail, rockets, cloud computing, eye-popping profits, and control over entertainment properties. Maybe it's the physical resemblance, or maybe it's the pattern. Both men unstoppable in scope. Jacobin even weighed in. The former Amazon CEO's world-altering career also looks strikingly similar to Luthor's turn as a conniving top executive. It's not satire disguised as reality. It's narrative alignment. Now here's the mystery box. Memeing aside, what if these parallels go beyond optics? Lex Luthor isn't just a villain. He's a narrative force. He frames the story. And Bezos? With billions at his fingertips and a studio in his pocket, he could easily influence the superhero storyscape. Think about it. Lex invests in power infrastructure and political sways. Bezos invests in space rockets and vertical streaming platforms. Both aim to shift public perception and define reality through storytelling. And again, memes aren't random, they're cultural barometers. One TikTok even labeled Bezos Lex Luthor, showcasing how pervasive the comparison is. This comparison builds tension. Would Bezos take on the role of a narrative architect, or the villain inside the hero's story? And yes, we've laughed at memes, but beneath the humor lurks a question. Are we being primed to treat Bezos like a storytelling villain? But here's the open loop. We've seen Bezos by MGM. We've seen him morph into a Hollywood power player. Could he, if he wants to, assume the role that Lex Luthor did so well? In the next section, we'll dive into Superman 2025, the fresh canvas that could be Bezos' next masterpiece. If he steps in, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Stick around. After all, any billionaire with that kind of money can go beyond memes. And that's exactly where our story gets interesting. Number 3, Superman 2025, a fresh playground? Here's where the story takes a compelling twist. Imagine a blank canvas. In Hollywood terms, that canvas is Superman 2025, the first reboot under James Gunn and DC Studios. It's not a sequel. It's a new universe. It's bold. It's hopeful. And yes, it's our mystery box. In July 2025, David Corenswet takes flight as Clark Kent, paired with Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane, joining a fresh Justice lineup with Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Gone is the brooding, stone-faced Superman. Instead, we're teased with a hero who's optimistic yet tested. Already 3 years into his mission, juggling journalism, world-saving, and a budding romance with Lois. It's a world of politics, moral gray zones, and real consequences, not just CGI punch UPS. Here's the emotional spark. James Gunn's vision is not just about powers, it's about purpose. He wants Superman to be a symbol of immigrant hope, moral clarity, and kindness in a cynical age. This isn't your typical action spectacle. It's almost a social statement, a modern myth for a complex time. Which brings us to our open loop. What if someone with creative muscle and wallet sailed into this narrative sea? Roller coaster alert. At one moment, fans are cheering for a heartfelt reboot. Our hero flying mid-battle, showing tears, humor, even comedic relief with Crypto the superdog that's stealing hearts. The next moment, voices rise in controversy. Conservatives cry super woke over the immigrant theme. Gunn replies with deadpan attitude. Screw them. It's cinematic drama with real-world heat. Now imagine Bezos, not the richest man anymore, but still a titan, watches this play out. He's already dipped toes in with MGM/Bond. He notices a freshly painted stage, a hopeful hero, a controversial narrative. This is a brand new narrative goldmine and golden goose. But our mystery box remains locked. What if Bezos quietly peeks inside? What if he whispers into the creative chorus? What if, just for a moment, this heartfelt immigrant embrace becomes part of his story arc? Our tease for Section 4. We'll peel back Bezos' Hollywood moves, fan polls, creative fingerprints on Bond, even private influence. How deep could he scuba dive into this moralistic new Superman origin? Could he quietly script a billionaire's influence into the mythos? Stay tuned, because this isn't just a reboot. It's a stage, and someone else might just enter behind the curtain. Number 4, Bezos' Hollywood strategy revealed. Here's where things get downright cinematic. Picture a billionaire, not content with rockets or e-commerce, now casually dipping his toes into one of Hollywood's most iconic franchises. No, not Superman yet, but James Bond. And the key to unlocking Bezos' creative playbook lies in one deceptively simple question he posed on social media. Who'd you pick as the next Bond? That single post, dropped minutes after Amazon MGM gained full creative control of the 007 franchise, wasn't just a fun poll, it was a power move. Bezos wasn't asking, he was listening. Fans threw in names like Tom Hardy, Theo James, and most notably Henry Cavill, the man who once wore the cape and the muscles to play Superman. Hold on, did Bezos just crowdsource creative direction? Think about it. You're Bezos. You've bought MGM, claimed creative control, and now you're testing brand new franchise ideas straight from the public. It's Hollywood 2.0, data-driven, fan-informed, and yes, monetizable. This isn't a billionaire playing dress-up. It's a billionaire recalibrating storytelling at scale. Here comes the emotional roller coaster. Fans were freaking out. Some cheered for Cavill, former Superman turned would-be Bond. Others panicked at the thought of Bezos skewing Bond into franchisable spin-off territory. On Reddit, one user said, Bezos is already asking for fan casts, confirms they'll go for the safest, most boring options. It's tension, relief, disguise, and intrigue all in one. But here's your mystery box. If Bezos can coax creative influence from fans on Bond cast and direction, If he's already fine-tuning the script, what's stopping him from doing the same with Superman? He's flipping the switch from reactive entertainment to proactive myth-making. And with Henry Cavill already buzzing in Bond speculation, the narrative threads are tying up in unpredictable ways. Also, think about this nuance. Bezos is no longer the richest man, but he's still a titan. His wealth is strategic, and Hollywood capital is just another kind of currency. He's no infographic villain. He's a curator, a content kingpin, a modern craftwork of entertainment. And the fans? They're both the audience and the writers. Here's the open loop. We've walked through Bezos buying MGM, number 1, seen him described as Lex Luthor, number 2, and watched the 2025 Superman canvas take shape, number 3. Now we're watching him engage with franchise development live, wielding polls, power, and public opinion like a director's chair, minus the cape. The ultimate question looms. Could that chair swivel towards Superman next? In the next section, we'll dig into that wedding in Venice, the couple's soaring public profile, and how image building could translate to narrative building. Because when Bezos plays the long game, every press flash, every creative poll, and every wedding photo tells part of that grand franchise puzzle. So hold tight, this act is far from over. Number 5, Lauren Sánchez and the media spotlight. Imagine this, a wedding so grand, it sprawls across Venice's canal-lined streets for 3 days, costs nearly 50 million euros, around $56 million, and draws the world's elite, Oprah, Tom Brady, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kim and Khloe Kardashian, all under one glamorous roof. It's the epitome of celebrity spectacle. But this moment is more than vows and champagne, it's storytelling in action. Act 1, the arrival. On June 25th, Bezos and Sánchez touched down in Venice, faces gleaming, flanked by heavy security and a few protesters throwing inflatable crocodiles at passing boats. Protests? Sure. But the optics, the power couple arriving in style, conversion of a historic city into their stage, the buzz of cameras, its narrative staging. They weren't just marrying each other, they were broadcasting a global event. Act 2, the event. By June 27th, they'd tied the knot at San Giorgio Maggiore, the island with its iconic bell tower, accompanied by Matteo Bocelli's voice echoing through the basilica. Every detail choreographed, 30 outfit changes and counting, floating venues, couture gowns by Dolce & Gabbana inspired by Sophia Loren, and a surprise performance of Your Song by Ellie Goulding. A nod that linked this ceremony to Prince William and Kate Middleton's 2011 royal celebration. It felt less like a private affair and more like Can Meets fairy tale. Emotional highs and lows. One moment, guests wept alongside Lauren's sister, captured in personal photos showing raw joy from the bride's nearest family. The next moment, Venice's city leaders and activists decried it as commercialization, accusing Bezos of turning local heritage into PR theater. You could feel the emotional tug, awe at the romance, discomfort at the optics. Act 3, the aftermath. Post-wedding, the world spun. Sánchez stepped out in Paris wearing $6,000 coffee cup clutch at Balenciaga's couture show. Talk about keeping the glam train rolling. Bezos sold about $1.4 billion in Amazon shares over the wedding window, possibly to rebalance his tax base or fund another empire-building move. So why does it matter for our Superman theory? Because this isn't just a wedding, it's a strategy. Bezos and Sánchez are architects of public narrative. They transformed personal love into global headline fodder. They shifted from romantic headline to couture front-row darling, and then to strategic financial maneuvers. It looks less like a distraction and more like purposeful design. Here's your open loop. Imagine that kind of media orchestration, but for a franchise like Superman. They don't need to wear capes. They just need to control the narrative, the story arc behind the scenes, the public opinion, the brand associations. And frankly, if they choreographed this wedding to perfection, Superman could be next in their storytelling playbook. Up next, we'll dig into the hushed industry whispers, those secret Amazon DC lane-changing meetings, and the backstage deals no one sees. Because if narrative is power, these two have already shown they can script the story. Number 6, behind-the-scenes deals and secrecy. Now we arrive at the heart of the mystery. The public story is that Jeff Bezos hasn't made a move on Superman. Warner Brothers and DC Studios keep their lips sealed. But whispers in the industry hang heavy. Amazon execs and DC insiders may have met quietly behind closed doors. No emails leaked, no banners, just the hush of power in motion. Here's where the emotional pendulum swings. On one hand, Hollywood insiders are nervous. Warner Brothers is already on edge. Private screenings of Superman 2025 reportedly left executives nervous and calling the film kind of a mess after early cuts failed to inspire confidence. Imagine the tension in those rooms. Gunn, Safran, and WB Brass praying they mid-air course before the July release. On the other hand, Amazon, a company that thrives in stealth, has perfected the art of quiet takeover. They're not flashy, they're strategic. So here's the question echoing through whispered corridors. Could Amazon be scheming to slide into DC's creative orbit during this tumult? Hollywood rumor mills know that Superman carries more than just a box office burden. It's DC's pivot point, the Klieg light under which Warner Brothers is either elevated or exposed. Replace pivot with critical crossroads, and you get the vibe. Companies circle during these inflection moments. And Bezos? He's got billions. But more importantly, he's got experience in shaping narratives to his tune. There are no press releases, no executive memos, just industry types sipping espresso at Chateau Marmont saying, he's been in the building. A source told Cosmic Book News that after an internal screening flopped, studio heads like Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi became increasingly isolated, even rumored to be replaced. And don't forget, DC Studios reports directly to David Zaslav, above DeLuca and Abdi, so any decision could pivot higher, beyond public view. Now for the mystery box moment. What if select Amazon execs slid into Zaslav's office, offering money, reach, and global marketing muscle? What if this supposed interest wasn't about acquiring the Superman character, but about influencing the reboot's direction? Imagine soft power rather than hard buyouts. Bezos owning narrative sway without owning trademark rights. Jokes aside, Bezos is neither the richest man today nor the boldest media owner. But he's arguably the most quietly confident. And history shows where there's a vacuum, like a faltering blockbuster reboot, someone steps in. And here's the tease for Section 7. We'll take everything we've uncovered, MGM buy, Lex Parallels, 2025 reboot, creative polling, and this backstage tension, and ask the ultimate what if. Could Bezos be the unseen power sculpting Superman's destiny? Stay tuned. Number 7. Could Bezos be the new Superman boss? This is where the dots connect, and the question hits like a plot twist. Could Jeff Bezos be the hidden power behind Superman's next chapter? Not legally owning the character, but steering the narrative, influencing creative decisions, and reshaping fandom perception. All from behind the curtain. Let's unpack the emotional rhythm. First, envision hope. Superman returns in 2025 as a beacon of innocence and moral clarity. Then comes tension. Leaks about rough cuts, internal studio shifts, and public pressure. Finally, intrigue Bezos, fresh from his flashy Venice wedding and quietly amassing influence via MGM, is reportedly circling DC's boardrooms. It feels like a suspense thriller, with billionaire cameos. Here's the open loop. What if Bezos, the man who created an e-commerce titan, flew to space, and commands a media empire, actually sought a seat at the creative table? Think of Amazon's deal-making prowess. They don't just buy, they integrate. They acquire, then adapt. Bond was just the rehearsal. Superman might be prime time. Imagine this scenario. Amazon's tentacles reach into DC Studios via marketing partnerships or co-production frameworks. Plots get praised as in line with Amazon's values. Tie-in streaming projects launched on Prime Video. Even side content like Inside the Fortress docuseries gets Amazon's backing. Roll with the roller coaster. Fans cheered at James Gunn's fresh tone. Some praised the inspiration. Others worried it was too preachy. Now the narrative becomes, was this orchestrated, or simply the artist's vision? If Bezos funnels his resources subtly, the film stays artist-driven while still trending on Amazon platforms. It's the modern puppeteer move. But get this, here's where the mystery box clicks open. What if Bezos doesn't see himself as a villain or a puppet master, but as a modern-day myth builder? He's already framed himself as a space pioneer, a cultural influencer, a patron of grand stories. And Superman, humanity's greatest myth. It becomes less about control and more about legacy. Cue the final tease. Could he consolidate co-production rights for Prime tie-ins? Launch interactive experiences? Possibly even groom future Superman talent via Amazon Studios? Now fans aren't just watching Superman. They're watching Bezos' cultural empire in Act 2. The emotional crescendo hits. Enthusiasts thrilled by the reboot, critics uneasy at possible corporate strings, film lovers wondering, who's writing this myth? It's a tug of heart and skepticism, hope and doubt. Here's where you come in. What do you think? Is Bezos the next creative giant quietly shaping our cultural icons? Or is this all speculative fiction spun from leaks and wedding gossip? Comment below with your theory. Bezos is sculpting the next myth. Or he's just a billionaire enjoying the ride. Because if Bezos does have his fingerprints on Superman, This isn't just business. It's storytelling in hyperdrive. And whether you cheer or cringe, this billionaire's next move could redefine how we view heroes, for better or for Bezos' brand. So what do you think? Could Jeff Bezos really end up shaping Superman's future from behind the scenes? Is this wild theory closer to fiction, or just a few $1 billion away from reality? Drop your thoughts below. How possible do you think this is?